Welcome. I bid you welcome. John Clauser coming to you from my music corner of the world. Welcome to another edition of Album Track Ranking A to Z. And today's episode is brought to you by the letter I. Now, what guys, you guys are thinking, what's he going to come up with? I had somebody last week, for H, they thought, oh, maybe he's going to do Hellstar, Halloween, or something like that. And I surprised everybody with Alex Harvey. Well, you might think I might do Iron Maiden or Impaler or Images of Eden or something like no, or maybe Impellitteri. No, I'm gonna stick with some classic rock. Some might call it bubblegum pop. I think this is a pretty heavy album for bubblegum, so I don't quite agree with that one. This one was 1968's In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida by Iron Butterfly. Now, you probably can't really see this that well. Oh, maybe you can. How's that for a cool looking thing? Have a lenticular cover with the flying butterfly and band getting into it. That's kind of cool. This was a reissue that came out in 1994. This has a couple bonus tracks, has a live version of In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, and then a single version. So you're probably thinking, okay, this is going to be a boring episode because we all know what my top song is going to be, right? I'm just going to say that's right now. Yes, my number one, my favorite track from this album is definitely going to be the title track. We'll get to that though. So let's break down. There's 6 songs on this. Um, the number 6 song for me is going to be the second track, "Flowers and Beads." This is a very, very Beatles-like song. Very, very kind of that mid to the late '60s, that psychedelic feel. It has the Beatles kind of feel and harmonies and melodies throughout the song. Um, the idea of nothing beats the true love of a woman. Who needs flowers and beads? I don't need no stinking flowers and beads. No, just give me the true love of a woman, and that's good enough for me. There's maybe a little other protest things going on here, but this is a fun little whimsical track. The my number 5 track is going to be track 4, which is Termination. This is the Eric Brand, who played lead guitar and guitars, and Lee Dorman, who played bass. And this was their composition with Eric on lead vocal here. Eric was a 17-year-old kid, and he came into this band and just stunned Doug Engel, who was the keyboard and main singer, and Ron Bushy on drums, with one of the songs from the first album. The first album had three other players, and they all left basically after the first album. So this album basically brought a whole new version of the band together. And this lineup of Doug Engel, Lee Dorman, Eric Brand, and Ron Bushy would be considered the classic era of the band. Interestingly enough, Ron Bushy was the only member of the band to play on all of the studio albums. I went back and I looked that up, and I'm like, sure enough, even Doug Engel by this point had left the band by toward the last album or two. But yeah, this is a fun little track. It's a little under 3 minutes. Has a really nice coda at the with like kind of like a lot of chimes going on. Song kind of about Greek history, is how Eric describes it. But it's a fun track. My number 4 track is going to be the number 3 song, "My Mirage." This was written for a fallen road manager who apparently was hit by a car apparently after a gig or after a night out with the guys, and it's a kind of a sad song, but this is still a really good track. I always like this one. Number 3 is going to be the album opener, "Most Anything You Want." Very nice melodic. Have you got a little bit of everything going on here. Um, the number 2 song is the side A closer called "Are You Happy?" This would be the song that would traditionally start opening shows, much to Ron Bushy's chagrin because of the way the song starts. It has this very, very fast, energetic, very almost a thrashy like beat. And then it gets into this nice flow rhythm. But yes, this part keeps coming up a lot. Um, very trippy kind of a boy meets girl kind of a song, but man, what a great song. Because when you flip the album over, you get the title track, 17 minutes and 5 seconds long. Okay, maybe the band didn't exactly intend it to be that way. It just kind of worked out that way. Stories go that this song was musically was recorded all in one take, no overdubs, with the exception of the vocal, but all of the music, all 17 minutes, all one take, which is pretty amazing to me. But um, you get the classic organ opener, keyboard opener. You get Eric's riff, that classic D minor riff. You get Doug Ingalls slurring "In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, honey," you know, which the story goes he was slurring his words when he would say this when he was writing the song. Ron Bushy took it to what he thought he said, and In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, well, it was supposed to be in the Garden of Eden, but hey, it turns out to be probably their most known song of all time, and this would really propel the album to big sales. But you get you get a you get some fierce Eric Brand solos. You get the Ron Bushy drum solos, which also incorporates a kind of a mass for percussion called the Misaluba. This was an African Congo thing that Eric Brand had gotten familiar with, and Ron just kind of put his own little spin on it. You have a nice little organ solo where Doug kind of throws a little bit of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen into there. Um, More solos, a little bit of bass stuff from Lee Dorman. The last drum solo where everything starts coming together, and then Ron Bush, he's just back there like an octopus as it's starting to lead back into that main riff, and you get the ending song, part of the song with the last part of the verse. What a track! What an epic track! Sometimes the song would go 19 minutes. Sometimes they try to trim it to about 13. You can watch it on the movie Manhunter, where there's like an 8-minute version of it. It's been covered by a lot. Slayer did a version of it in like 3 minutes, or very pile driving version. The Atco, the label, kind of edited it down to a 3-minute song, basically cutting all the solos out. What a great song! Absolute banger. Love the track. This is a really, to me, I always thought this was just a really good heavy track. And I think there's, I think Iron Butterfly could give a little nod to their addition and their feeling of heavy metal, in my opinion. Hard rock or heavy metal, acid rock, psychedelic rock, whatever you want to call it. It's still a great album, in my opinion. So let me know what you guys think about In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. And I'm sure maybe, don't be like me for a long time in my childhood when I got this as a teenager. Um, I tended to kind of, I kind of slept on the first side. But man, when you discover that first side and how good those songs are and the craftsmanship that they put together with those, man, there's some great tracks on those five. So there you go, folks. Let me know what you think about In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. Next week, it'll be brought to you by the letter J. So rock forever, y'all. We'll see you next week. Take care.